the next
Hmm.
slide here. Yeah, I'm pumped for you to see this. Okay. All right, let me just
Okay.
do it. So when you started, you were 37, biological age was 33, and your chronological age was 37.
Uh-huh.
Now your biological age is 25 and your chronological age is 30. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
So, yeah. And if
Oh,
you
to be in my
notice,
20s again. Yes.
yeah, yeah,
That's
absolutely. And
awesome.
here's the thing.
I can't put into concise words how much this program has changed my life. Uh,
All right. So today, I am joined by my client Meredith, who actually just finished her. So I tend to do the 20-week program is 4 weeks of habit transformation. I don't consider that the core of the program, and then 16 weeks of the program. And she just finished her 16 weeks with me. Um, Her numbers moved significantly. And in as much as I know the plan was a good plan, a lot of credit needs to go to Meredith because she followed the plan. And I can absolutely say that she has been one of the most diligent clients that I have in terms of saying, okay, hey, Dr. Nick did all this testing. I'm going to follow this testing and follow the plan that comes out of the testing. And then the results just consistently happened week over week for her. So when she started, she was 185 pounds. And her most recent measurement, what's today? Tuesday, Monday, she was 160.
mhm.
So she's down 25 pounds and she's down 6.1 or 6.2 inches on her waist in 16 weeks. 25 pounds down and 6.2 inches on her waist in 16 weeks. So, yeah, I just wanted to introduce you to everyone,
Thank
Meredith.
you.
Obviously, I'm
Yeah,
super proud of you, but you can introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I'm
sure.
gonna get into some stuff.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I think I am a 37-year-old mom of two. And so I have a full-time job and a very full home life. And so something that I needed was something that was sustainable and efficient and wasn't gonna kind of put me down for the count for so long. So um, I had been following Dr. Nick on Instagram for a couple of years, and then finally, I um, approached him about working with him privately, and that was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made because I cannot tell you, I have done many programs, and a lot of them have felt like somebody's just telling me something that they were told by somebody else because, it worked for them. And this program that I did with Dr. Nick was very much tailored to me. And so, you know, the protocol that I followed would be very different than anybody else's. But what I can say is that, at the end of this program, I am not only stronger and lighter, but I'm also a lot smarter. And so I think with the knowledge of knowing how the body is working and why certain things, uh, when you intake certain things, why your body behaves a certain way, or if there's a modality for some function in your body, I now understand how food and exercise affect that. So moving forward, I can be more in control of my body composition. So, yeah, I'm
and
busy. To
and her
say that
overall
I'm
health.
I'm a busy mom. I'm a
Yeah.
busy mom and an engineer, and this program was really doable for me. And um, I feel like the knowledge that came with it, the habit transformation program at the beginning was pivotal. There are several different programs, and I find that the ones that I participated in, I am still carrying those habits. So that habit transformation is pivotal, as is the knowledge of how the body is working. So yeah.
So Meredith just said something that I forgot to say. So my undergrad, I'm a medical doctor, right? But yeah, I tend to gravitate more towards just the engineer. So my undergrad was engineering, mechanical engineering. So when
Mhm.
Meredith, reached out to me on Instagram and I found out she was an engineer, I was like, this is awesome. I was so happy. And yeah, I definitely think, to be honest, that played some part that in her success, because she's very she understands when somebody's trying to explain something to her about the body and saying, hey, these are the rules of the body, right? You can either ignore them or you cannot ignore them. She really took to that and understood exactly what that meant. So with that said, I am going to interview Meredith about her experience, but before I do so, Meredith and we recently had I performed her follow-up cardiometabolic test. So at the very beginning of the program, I like to do a cardiometabolic test on clients because I like to know the ground truth of somebody's body and of somebody's metabolism instead of just assuming. Um, and we recently did another test a couple days ago, and I'm just going
Mhm.
to share a couple snippets. Now, here's the thing: you guys are going to see her reaction in the same time that I am, because I have not told her this. I really wanted to see her reaction. So you'll notice at the very bottom, right, that it says
Are you okay if I turn it
resting.
sideways so it's bigger? Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like if I
Yeah.
turn the camera is fine
Yep.
this way too.
Perfect. Yep. Perfect. No worries. No worries. So the testing date on the left. So the left side is always the initial test, and the
Okay.
right side is the follow-up test. So the left side, we performed this test on the 24th of February, and then the follow-up test we performed the other day on the 14th of July. So, with that said, the first thing that I thought was absolutely pivotal was this part. So, one of the things that the British Medical Journal and various studies, retrospective and otherwise, have unfortunately discovered is that most people who lose the weight, and by most, I mean 95% of people who lose weight, gain weight, right? They gain it right back. Now, it can take a while, it can take 6 months, it can take a year, but pretty much by the 6 month mark, 90% of people have regained the weight. And by the 1.5 year mark, 95% of people have regained the weight. And one of the reasons why this happens, unbeknownst to many, and I said one of the reasons, not the only reason, just one of the reasons, is that the way that most people lose weight in a quick fix manner is essentially causes a precipitous decrease in people's resting metabolic rate, right? So there's something called adaptive thermogenesis, and it is essentially how the body adapts to a drop in weight, right? A drop in body mass. And it is not a adaptation that is favorable to us. It and by not favorable, what I truly mean is that it leaves you in a place when you're done with the weight, even if you successfully get off 30, 40, 50 pounds, it leaves you in a place where now you have to eat less than you've ever eaten in the past for you to be able to maintain that weight loss. Most
Okay.
people cannot do that, and most people do not do that. So because of that, one of the mainstays of my approach is essentially, as you know, is in the name and whatnot. It's focusing on metabolic health and focusing on one's metabolism to the extent where just this screen right here shows the efficacy and the difference in my approach, where now Meredith is in a place where she can literally eat just under 200 more calories than she could when she started working with me. Even though she's a smaller human being now, she's 25 pounds lighter. If we look at the top left, where underneath you burn, I wrote during days you don't work out, you burn. So on the left side, in February, she burned 1,918 calories per day. And then on the right side, if you look at it, during days that she doesn't work out now, as of now, because we just did the cardiometabolic test, she burns 2,101 calories per day. even as a smaller human being. So this is great because this puts her, in addition to the other things that I will teach her and the other things that I will share with her, this puts her in a place where she is very, very, very unlikely to regain the weight. And she's very likely to maintain this weight, not with great effort, but actually effortlessly, right? Going back to eating approximately the amount that she ate in the past, she could easily maintain the weight and probably even improve her body composition further. So obviously, Meredith, I was trying to communicate with the audience, kind of
Yeah.
kind of my thought process behind this, because
Hmm.
you know more about my thought process behind this than most other people. So what's before we move on to the next screen, what do you think about kind of
Hmm.
this?
Uh, Yay.
I know, right?
It's fabulous, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think as uh one thing that I really appreciate is, so as a person becomes smaller theoretically,
Mhm.
the amount of calories one would need in order to maintain that smaller mass should theoretically be lower. And
Yes.
so not only am I 25 pounds lighter, but now
Mhm.
I can eat more.
Mhm. Mhm.
So meaning the muscle mass that
Exactly.
I have packed on some muscle, which is
Yep.
freaking fabulous.
Absolutely. And
So
I
yeah, I
totally
think
forgot to bring that up, and that's a great observation. That because you're just using deductive. So one of the things everyone that I do, and Meredith knows this, is we do a body composition assessment. Right? We haven't done it with her yet because she's about to enjoy a lovely vacation with her family. We will do so. But one of the elements of that body composition assessment is determining how much fat mass does Meredith have now, how much lean mass does she have now. I try to maintain as much lean mass as possible, or actually add to it. The next
mhm.
slide here, I really yeah, I'm pumped for you to see this. Okay, all right, let me just
Okay.
do it. So when you started, you were 37. Biological age was 33, and your chronological age was 37.
Uh-huh.
Now your biological age is 25, and your chronological age is 30. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
So, yeah. And if
Oh,
you
to be in my
notice,
20s again. Yes.
yeah, yeah,
That's
absolutely. And
awesome.
here's the thing: before joining the program, right? You were
Hmm.
obviously, you were in a place where you were 100 and 85 pounds, and you wanted to explore something like this, right? Why don't you tell me, or why don't you tell us rather, where you were mentally that you even determined that you needed help, right? Why were you in a place where you determined that, okay, hey, I need help with this?
Yeah, I think I from a very young age I have always been overweight. My dad recently gave me a file folder of pictures of me in my childhood, and I was always overweight.
Mm,
And I don't think, I think there wasn't an education in my household around healthy eating habits.
mm,
And so we always relied on outside sources to kind of guide us when we were having trouble with our weight. And so the first program I did was um, Weight Watchers, and I was in eighth grade, which is, it's a very young age to start being in weight loss programs. But,
mm.
um, with the guidance, it was always successful, but it always came back on. And so I know now I know, after having been through this program with you, now I know how to uh, change the body composition, the nutrition, the activity level, um, in order to maintain or achieve a goal. Before, it just was, somebody was saying, eat this, eat less, move more.
Yeah.
And, while it was transiently successful, the weight always came back on.
Mhm.
And so the reason that I knew the place that I was at is, I had been, I had had my second child, I had lost some weight, and then it all came back on. And I wanted something so that I didn't have to do this again.
Mhm.
Um, and so I think instead of going to some chain, not to say that they don't work for some people they work, but
Mhm.
not for me.
Mhm.
Um, I wanted someone with the knowledge of how things worked that, is not just some, I've mentioned this before, not just some Joe Schmo telling me what their trainer told them
Mhm.
because that's what they were told by corporate.
Mhm.
Um, you have that medical knowledge of how
Mhm.
the body works and um, how uh, nutrition affects things and activity affects things and why. And so now that I know that, I can, keep it off. So I believe in leaning on experts. As an engineer, you are only supposed to certify things that you're an expert in. And this, now we're getting close. But before this,
Yeah.
I'm not an expert in anything like this with,
Sure.
body composition changes with, nutrition or activity or anything like that. And so
Mhm.
I wanted someone to guide me through and teach me so that I could do this for myself.
Mhm. Got it. Got it.
I was in a place where, my clothes didn't fit. I was tight. They were tight.
Mhm.
And, I didn't feel good about my
Mhm.
body. I didn't feel good. I wasn't sleeping well.
Mhm.
Um, I was tired all the time. And I
Mhm.
was, the common phrase is I was sick and tired of feeling sick and tired.
Mhm.
So, um, I think that's what kind of pushed me over the edge to approach you to work with you.
And why did you I'm just curious about this. Did you ever,
Mhm.
consider things like Ozempic or a medication, a pharmacological, methodology towards, attempting to solve this?
I don't believe personally, I don't believe that those things are long-term uh, solutions. That's a band-aid.
Mhm.
Um, you have a like a your arm is amputated and you're trying to put a band-aid on it. Like it's not
Mhm.
the behaviors. One of the reasons why I like your program so much is because there is that habit transformation program at the beginning.
Mhm.
Obviously, my habits before this program were not in a good place where I was treating my body well enough for it to be lean and healthy and 25. I was certainly going to the gym, but like you couldn't tell.
Sure.
Because it was hiding under all of the you can't exercise out a bad diet, right?
Yes. Can't
Uh
outrun a bad diet. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think that's what drove me to contact you about starting with you
Mhm.
and certainly that habit piece is pivotal.
Mhm.
So now my habits are better and I have a
Mhm.
better chance of maintaining the weight that I am
Yeah,
with less
yeah.
effort.
Yeah, yeah. And it isn't even, I mean, yeah, the habits are absolutely important, right? But I think that in the past, and this is a little bit of assuming on my part because I don't know
Mhm.
exactly the types of programs that you did in the past, but you are forthcoming and forthright enough to tell us that you have regained the weight in the past with other programs. And I would
Yeah.
argue that, most programs do not care, do not keep keep an eye, objective eye or subjective eye or otherwise. They do not keep any attention on lean mass. And then obviously, secondary to that, resting metabolic rate and mitigating the
Mhm.
effects of adaptive thermogenesis. So
Yeah.
yeah, no,
And I think, some of the other programs that I did, there was one where there was, there were the fat burners and there are the carb burners, and then there's the thermo snacks and,
mhm,
you know,
mhm,
everything that we did, I cooked myself. Like
mhm,
there was no food to buy. Now, that's not
mhm,
to say that I didn't adjust, the protein powders
mhm,
that I
mhm,
do for my workout shakes or
mhm,
whatever,
mhm,
but
mhm.
there wasn't any like there weren't any magic pills because I don't believe
Yes.
in them.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, I think it's I would argue that there is a time and a place for things like Ozempic, but that is
Mhm,
not me. I am not one
mhm,
of those people.
mhm.
Um, and even then, on top of that, it shouldn't be the long-term solution. Although,
Right.
if I remember correctly, if once you start those things, you can like never get off of them. So, perhaps there's
Cool.
not a time and a place for any of them.
Right, right, right.
That's
Yeah,
for doctors to decide with their
yeah,
patients, and
sure.
I have decided they're not for me.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that, that's a noble decision because at least now you have all the knowledge and you have not only an approach that got you to where you wanted to be, but you have the knowledge to continue it and maintain it in the future without pills.
Hmm.
And then furthermore, we still have to do labs on you, and maybe
Yeah.
when we finish your labs, we can kind of just do an update for everybody. But
Hmm.
um,
Sure.
I think one thing that I focus on and stress with my approach and my program is improvement in metabolic health, right? And yeah, listen, I know everybody wants to lose weight and wants to get their waist smaller, but I firmly believe that with an effective and efficacious program, you're not only going to see the changes in your body, you're going to see the changes in the lab work, right? Your
Hmm.
fasting glucose, your hemoglobin A1C, your fasting insulin, your blood pressure, right? Your triglycerides, your lipid panel, essentially all these different
Right.
biomarkers of optimal metabolic health. You want to be progressing those and moving those in the right direction because, as you said earlier, you're a mother, right? You have two kids, you have a loving husband. And
Hmm.
in my mind, right, anybody who does who takes an approach like this, they should not only want to do it to feel better in their skin and to improve their self-image, which is totally worthy, but they should also want to do
Hmm.
it because they want to be around for their kids longer, right? They want to
Yeah.
they understand the importance of health. So yeah.
And and I think having independence at an older age is also like,
Yep.
I don't want to have my kids help me sit down on the toilet
Yes.
until I'm really,
Yes.
really, really, really old. So
Yes, yes,
yeah.
yes. I agree. I agree. I agree. Awesome. So, you mentioned habits, right? And I think that that's
Mhm.
obviously an important piece. So, can you share a bit about how your weight and the habits that you used to have in the past that you were struggling with, and where those same habits are now since we started working together?
Sure. Yeah. So one of the programs that I did that I think is the most impactful was I grew up in a family of grazers, and we
Okay.
just eat
Not all
all the
day.
time, just
Sure.
all day. It's, we're
Sure.
grazers, we eat meals, but
Sure.
then we snack.
Uh-huh.
And, those calories add up.
Mhm.
And so when I started, I had a well, I still have said relatively stressful job, and it is still
Sure.
very stressful.
Yeah.
Um, but, I would find that the moment I get home from my job, automatically I would go to the pantry and I would put something in my mouth. And
Mhm.
so now, after having gone through these programs, I can manage my stress a bit better, which then affects the sleep, which is also better.
Mhm.
But also, I don't snack.
Mhm.
Um, I eat at meal times
Mhm.
and that's it.
Mhm.
And I think that is, a multifold important thing because, you're eating what you should at meals
Mhm.
and not having extra calories in between, but also that probably has somewhat of an effect on the insulin resistance, right? If you're constantly like getting little of, because the stuff I was eating was like chips. It wasn't like a piece of turkey. So, the food choices are better now, as well as the lack of snacking. So if I find that I am hungry, I will eat and I will make a mindful decision to have something that is protein heavy because that I know will keep me full longer until I can make it to a meal. So,
Mhm.
the snacking instances are very rare these days, but I recognize the hunger cues and I know what to eat in order to not like lose my head.
Yes.
And just like
Yeah.
so yes, the snacking, I was a snacker. I am no longer a snacker per se.
Sure. Sure.
I'm not an emotional eater. I am a eat when you're hungry type
Yep.
of person. And I think that's made a huge difference because it's just my day now revolves much less around food. Um, the stress, I have a stressful job and now I have a you know, things that I can do to kind of manage that stress so that I can get to sleep better at night.
Mhm.
Um, the sleep program, there's good sleep hygiene, now, before I started, um, I wasn't sleeping very well. I would wake up two, three, four times a night. And now I keep my sleep schedule very consistent. I sleep with earplugs in to keep it quiet. I have not yet invested in a sleep mask to keep it dark, um, but I'm sleeping much better. I will wake up maybe once a night to go to the bathroom, and that's it. I'm sleeping far far better. So yeah, and then the other one was the hydration. Before I drank coffee and um, like sparkling waters. And now, you know, water is essential for all of the systems in your body to function more efficiently. So we
Yep.
drink water. We
Yep.
still have coffee, but we drink
Yep.
much
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
water.
Sure. Sure. Sure.
And
Sure.
sometimes too
Sure.
late in the day, which
Yeah.
causes the wake up at night. But
Yeah.
yeah, overall, the habits that I have now are far healthier than when I started.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I love to hear that because you're able to list off many of the habits that and listen, right? There are going to be struggles that you have had that other people may sleep amazingly, right? Which is why this needs to be a very individualized approach and figuring out, okay, well, where's somebody weak or where do they feel that they could move the needle the most, right? And then do so. So awesome. So I guess my next question is from your perspective, what do you feel has been the biggest game changer for you that differentiated what you have tried in the past versus you and I working one-on-one together?
Um, I would argue uh, the most impactful piece is the amount of data that we have in the program, um, balanced with the knowledge of you. So, through our program, we're tracking all of these metrics.
Right.
And when we see these metrics change, you can help me understand why.
Right.
And, you can make all the changes in the world, but if you don't understand how the changes you are making are affecting you on a biological level, who's to say that there isn't some nuanced thing that's going to change it in the future? So
Right.
I would argue that you know the tracking, the metrics, all of the things that we did every day to monitor the health markers
Mhm.
were pivotal, but also you being able to explain to me why they were changing and
Sure.
how then to further refine the process was equally as valuable.
Mhm. Mhm. You know, one thing a lot of people don't necessarily remark on, but you just implied, and I love the fact that you implied it, is I think that when you have a focus during a journey, during a path that you're trying to follow, when you have data, what you also have is a feedback, is a continuous feedback loop, is
Mhm.
a system that actually implicit within that feedback loop is motivation every single day, right?
Yeah.
Because as you're doing the right things more and more, you see the numbers do what? Move in the better and better
Mhm.
direction, right? And what's that going to do to your motivation and your desire to stick with it? That's going to make you double
Yeah.
down even more, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Do you
Yeah.
agree with that or disagree?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. I think, we tracked lots of different metrics. And I think the one, that most people grasp onto is weight, which, we did
Mhm.
not do every day.
Sure.
We did
Yeah.
weekly.
Yep.
Um, I think that holds a lot of emotional value for a lot of people. And what I learned is to let go of that. What made me feel um, more motivated was the shrinking of the waist size because that was consistent. That
Yeah.
my waist was smaller every
Mhm.
week.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. And what would you say is the biggest difference between how you felt then, and how you feel now, just on a day-to-day basis, or
I think, you know, uh, my clothes are fitting better. I mean, I have new clothes because the old ones like don't fit.
sure.
And so, the body confidence is has skyrocketed. I don't necessarily have to throw on a towel right after I get out of the shower. I can walk around and not feel like, "Ugh."
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I think another one that I'm, particularly proud of is my progress in the gym.
Yes.
I feel so strong
Yeah.
and I look strong because I
Yeah.
am strong.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, I think, the strength, the strength to weight ratio is absolutely headed in the right direction.
Sure.
Where, I can be a top performer, which is,
Mhm.
actually it's like pretty cool
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
never been that way.
Yeah. And you've been
Having a
sharing,
larger mass. Yeah.
that with, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you've been sharing kind
Mhm.
of your steady rise up the leaderboard at your gym, and even feeling better with just kind of the lifts and the workouts that you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. You move better. And you can lift more for a longer period of time. It's just
Mhm.
so I think I just overall feel much healthier. I can say that, I'm happier.
Mhm.
I just feel better. Um,
Mhm.
I am absolutely more confident. Um, and all that is attributed to not only recognition of the hard work that we have done together,
Yes.
but
Mhm.
also of the results.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's interesting to me, right, Mayor, because if you remember when we started working together, I asked you, and then you responded that you wanted to lose approximately 1% of your body weight per week. Um,
Hmm.
because there's just for anybody watching, I like to say, hey, you can lose anywhere from 0.5% to 2% of your body weight per week. And that's a much better way to think about it rather than somebody saying, hey, I want to lose 3 pounds per week. Because if you say I want to lose 3 pounds per week, you don't know what percentage of your body weight that is. And
Hmm.
if it's too high of a percentage, there is no way to lose weight that fast without it being accompanied by lean mass loss, right? And losing that muscle. And then, as we talked about earlier, that will negatively affect your metabolic rates and whatnot. So I think that, Meredith
Well,
told me she want. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
and I think it's also important to note that, that it has to be sustainable, right? And
Yes,
so if
yes.
you're hungry, you're gonna look at that bag of chips on the counter and be like, what's one? What's what's two chips? What's four chips? What's 10
What's
chips?
20?
What's two bags of chips?
Right, right, right.
Um, so yes, I think it's important. You can lose weight at a 0.5% to 2%, but you have to find that ground is where you are going to comply
Yes.
with the program. And for
Consistently.
me, yes, consistently comply with the program. For me, that I think the 1% was perfect
Hmm.
because I wasn't
Hmm.
ever hungry,
Hmm.
or rarely was hungry.
Hmm.
And on the days that it was because we had a body composition scan where you can't eat before, and it's like, oh, freaking
Hmm.
hungry, but I can't
Hmm.
eat right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that all plays into, I really enjoy going to the gym, and I don't want to be gassed before I even get to the gym, because if I'm gassed before I get to the gym, I'm not going to really be doing anything, right? Like
Hmm. Hmm.
I I won't be able to lift hard because I won't
Yeah.
have any energy. So that
Yep.
1% for me, I think, was just perfect.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So looking back, Meredith, for people who are just,
Hmm.
now starting out on their journey, looking back, if there was one thing that you feel helped you to get to where you are today, what would you say that it would be?
I think one of the really big things for me was removing emotion from the process. So what
Hmm.
you are doing is you are training your body to
Hmm.
behave in a better way, and you are trying to override weeks and months and years
Hmm.
of your body performing in a certain way that
Hmm.
got you to the point where you are.
Hmm.
And it's not going to be overnight,
Hmm.
instantaneously change.
Hmm.
Um, so you have to look, remove the emotion from it and look for those small wins and grasp onto those and hold on to those and just look for the next, like, and then, it's like a chipper.
Hmm.
You just keep chipping
Yeah.
away at it. You just keep going, keep
Yep.
consistent. The end
Hmm.
result is always worth it,
Hmm.
because it's you're going to be better at the end, so you just have
Hmm.
to remember that during the process. So removing the emotion and kind of grasping onto to the little wins along the way, because
Understand.
when we first started, we're saying, I would like to lose x amount of pounds. Well, it's not going to happen overnight. Like, you have
Hmm.
to work for it.
Hmm.
So
Hmm. I agree.
there was never a point where we saw like a 6 pound or 10 pound or 20 pound loss in a week. That's
Hmm.
asinine.
Right.
It was, a pound, 2 pounds, a pound and a half a pound,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
it was always a loss. Or, the waist measurement,
Hmm.
it's 3/4 of an inch smaller. It was a half an inch smaller. It was a quarter. It was 5/8,
Hmm.
always smaller. So you just like, you see your progress and that you're moving in the right direction, and you just believe in the process and just hang in there, and just learn and
Hmm.
keep with it. And I think one of the things for me is that I wanted this to be like this is for me a long-term solution. And so I
Yes.
needed to learn how to behave in a way where I'm going to stay like this forever. And so I had to let go of some of the more uncomfortable things of like, well, but I really like, having cream in my coffee in the morning. Well, cool, but you have to balance that with the rest of your life. And so
Yeah.
now I just put, like skim milk, and it's great. It's
Hmm.
you have to be willing to let go of the old habits
Hmm.
and grasp the new ones.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, you are willing to change and adapt as
Mhm.
necessary to achieve your goal, right? Which I think
Yeah.
everybody should be able to do that for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I think so. One funny thing is like, when we first started, I was like, yeah, I could do anything for 20 weeks. Like,
Hmm.
anybody can
Hmm.
do anything for 20 weeks. And now I'm like, we got through, I think it was like, maybe it was week 6 or something like that. And the light bulb kind of went on. I was like, oh, this
Hmm.
doesn't change after this. This is how I live.
Hmm.
Got
Hmm.
it. There had
Hmm.
never been that light bulb process before with any of the
Hmm.
other programs. It's not like,
Hmm.
okay, well, I was doing it to lose weight.
Hmm.
Now this is the process I'm doing to live my life for a long time,
Hmm.
very healthy
Hmm.
as a
Hmm.
25-year-old
Right, right.
biologically.
So, right, right. Um, okay, and then so I only have one other question, and my last question is for
Okay.
anybody, Meredith, who is still on the fence and is unsure about investing in their health. What advice would you give to them? Who they just need to make a change, and they know that they need to make a change, but they just haven't quite yet pulled the trigger. What advice would you give anybody in that position? The same position I'm sure you were in before you reached out
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, I think, at the beginning of this program, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, as we said. And I recognized that I needed help, and I wanted someone that was going to help me do this for the last time. And, I think a lot of people that probably are on the fence about going through this process have likely been through it several times before. And the one thing that I would say is that this is the last time I'm going through this process, because now I know how a healthy person lives.
Mhm.
And the advice would be to um, really check in with yourself and make sure that you're ready
Mhm.
to make this change. And when you walk out on the other side, you will be better. You
Mhm.
will be healthier. You will, depending on, your goal, you'll either be lighter or, more muscular or, um, whatever the goal may be. But you will not be less healthy.
Mhm.
And you're going to live for a long time.
Mhm.
Um, and just yeah, so I mean, as somebody who has invested over and over and over in their health,
Mhm.
I can recognize the difference between the other programs where someone is regurgitating some baloney that they heard
Yeah.
from somebody
Mhm.
else that were trained by who knows who,
Mhm.
and what their qualifications are. This program is legitimately a lifestyle changing program, because that's what it needs to be if you are
Right.
going to make a change and maintain it.
Right.
You can't just do the cut and be done and go back to how
Mhm.
you were behaving before. That's how you
Mhm.
got where they were in the first place.
Mhm.
You have to just learn how this program has taught me um how to live how I want to live,
Mhm.
because I don't want to go back to having the getting out of breath too soon, or,
Yeah.
having to lift a barbell around my belly,
Right.
you know.
Right. 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 Right.
Um,
Right.
so yeah, I think probably this is probably the last time. This is going to be the last time I do this, because now I know
Mhm.
how to live.
This is
Um,
and sustain it right in a sustainable
mhm.
manner for the rest of your life.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
healthier. Like,
Yeah.
who doesn't want that? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Yep.
that's why they're here in the first place. They want to be healthier.
Mhm.
You
Sure.
sure as heck will be.
Sure.
And you'll probably, I tend to grasp onto these knowledge pieces that Dr. Nick shares with me, because I find them fascinating. I was explaining to my husband the importance of glycogen stores the other day, and he kind of looked at me. He was like, "What?"
It's like,
And
what are
I
you
was like,
talking
oh, yeah.
about?
Uh, well, you see, um, so I think the knowledge from you was important. So I am happy that I am walking away A, healthier, B, lighter, three, no, B, stronger,
Mhm.
C, lighter,
Mhm.
uh, D, more knowledgeable. Um,
Right.
I can't put into concise words how much this program has changed my life. It's fabulous, you know?
Well, I appreciate that, Mary. And I've told you this in messages before, and I genuinely believe like you've been one of my favorite clients. And I think it's relatively easy to become my favorite client, but easy doesn't mean that many people can do it, right? Because many people
Right.
just don't. You'll make them a plan like, hey, this is a plan literally made from your body and your testing, right? And people just won't be consistent in following it, right? But I think that your inquisitiveness, right? Because you've always been asking great, not just questions, but great questions. And then, right, your ability to stick to the plan. And obviously, I did everything that I could to make the plan easy to stick to, right? Taking away
Yeah.
hunger
Yeah.
so that you don't, hey, you don't ever have hunger while on it, and you don't have to feel restricted like you can never have candy or cake or things that you enjoy. But I think that,
Yeah.
personally, when you're a doctor, right, you just see the full gamut of patients and clients alike. And I can absolutely tell you that a lot of people say they want good health, but then when you're objectively watching them and the decisions that they're making, the choices that sustain their lives day to day, it's clear that what they say does not match what they do. With you, what you said has absolutely matched what you've done. And I
Yeah.
think that's why, you've crushed you in 16 weeks, you've lost 25 pounds, right? And if we wanted that
Mhm.
number to be higher, right? If we wanted to not move at 1% per week and move at 1.5% per week, I'm sure you would have crushed that too. And it would have been even more than 25 pounds. But I think that ultimately people like you are a rarity, people who are able to put away their ego enough to ask questions and then listen to
Yeah.
answers and then ask follow-up questions. And I'm really glad that you found something that worked for you.
Yeah. Well, and I think that that's, that touches on another piece of advice for somebody who's sitting on the fence is, I think that's why, the actions, the behaviors and the desires. I think that's one of the things that's also really important about the habit transformation program at the beginning. It's I can absolutely say that that made a difference.
Mm,
So yeah, it was just, I think the combination of knowledge and habit transformation, and as well as, nutrition and the movement and all of those pieces made a really complete program that just works.
mm,
And so the trick is finding what's sustainable and sustainable so that you can be consistently compliant
mm,
for you, and to, ask the questions,
mm.
understand, and then take that understanding and apply it to your program.
Yep, absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us and answering all these
Yeah.
questions today, and helping other people who are in the position that you were in the past.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time out of your day to have this conversation with me, Mayor.
Sure. Yeah, it's important. And it's been a really wonderful and impactful process on my end, and I hope that, somebody who sees this will also, decide to work with you and have that same impact.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. Okay. Take care and goodbye.